Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's focus for Thursday, January the 26th, 2023 at 1:46 p.m. Central Time. Today's focus, low blood pressure. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, wait, today's focus is low blood pressure? Wait, what is this? Is this a medical podcast or a theological podcast? Just stay with me. But yes, you're hearing me correctly. I'm not misspeaking. Today's focus is low blood pressure. Let me explain. It was last year that I came up with this great idea, or at least I thought it was a great idea, that each day I would start the broadcasting day by doing a podcast episode that gave everyone one thing to focus on. Hey, today, because I know that there's a million things available to you. There's so many distractions. So I could turn on the microphone, and the thinking process was each morning, right? I could turn on the microphone. I could go live on the air. I could do a podcast episode where I'm like, here you go. Here's one thing, and this is what I want you to focus on throughout the day. And it would also serve sometimes as, hey, here's what I want you to focus on. And throughout the day, as I'm broadcasting, that we may address this same subject in a more in-depth way, or this same subject may show up in other podcast episodes. Even if we're not addressing it in an in-depth way, it's still going to be possibly a part of what we're talking about throughout the day. I thought it was kind of a novel idea. I thought it was kind of creative. I had everyone kind of help me come up, try to find the artwork. We did try to find the right music, try to work on the intro. It's kind of like I try to have everyone listening help me build this new podcast series called Today's Focus. I thought it was an interesting idea. I really did. And I still am committed to the idea. But it wasn't long after I kind of launched the idea that I realized things weren't feeling right. And I couldn't put my finger on it, right? It's like each morning I would wake up and I was feeling like fatigue. I was feeling sluggish. I was feeling weak. And whenever I would turn on the microphone, it didn't feel right? At times it felt like I was struggling. I didn't have clarity of thought. It's almost like my thinking was a little bit confused. And it just, after almost every single episode, there were exceptions, but like most of the episodes, either in the middle while I was talking, I'd be like in the back of my mind, like I'm talking, but in the back of my mind, I'm having a conversation with myself, like, what am I doing? This is a waste of time. This isn't very good. Like, I should just stop. Like, there were multiple times I almost just stopped literally in the middle of a Today's Focus episode and just said, I'm just going to stop in the broadcast. I'm going to delete this. There were times after some of them, I was like emotional, like discouraged, like depressed, like really, like it was really weird. Like things just did not feel right. And I was also finding it like a struggle, right? Like I'd be like, well, what do I want to talk about? Do I want to talk? And like, I usually don't have those problems, but I was noticing something interesting was happening, right? That, okay, so let's say I'm trying to do that at 9:30 a.m. Then it was kind of like 10 a.m. Then it was like 11. They started getting later and later, but no matter when I did it, there was something was just off. It didn't feel right. I couldn't put my finger on it. I was like, well, maybe it's because of sleep. Maybe it's because of emotions. Maybe it's because of the weather. Maybe it's because of the holidays. Like I kept trying to pinpoint exactly what was going on. And I really couldn't figure it out, but I kept noticing something. The Today's Focus episode kind of almost always, I felt, went bad. But if I would do the Today's Focus, stop, then wait, have lunch, and then come back 1:30, 2 p.m., 3 in the afternoon, that there was like the old energy was back. The clarity of thought was back. Obviously, none of my episodes are perfect, and I still stumble over words, and I make all the mistakes that I make that I'm very, very painfully aware of, but it feels different. Like, and if I'm doing it at 7 o'clock at night or 9 o'clock at night, it feels like, okay, that's me. But then the next morning when I do the Today's Focus, it's like, who's that person? It's like, it was almost like some weird, like, am I losing my mind? Like, am I having some kind of split personality disorder? Something's not right. And I couldn't pinpoint. And I also know that clearly the Today's Focus episodes were not getting the same email traffic, the same kind of response. I mean, some of you have tried to be very nice to the Today's Focus podcast episode, especially one specific person. I think almost every single day would email me. And I very much appreciate that because it kept me going, because I almost decided to just delete it and say, I don't know what's happening, but that's not working. And I could not figure it out until today. I had a medical appointment. I go in at 7:45 a.m., that morning time, right? And as soon as I got up, I'm like, man, once again, what is wrong? Things are not working in the morning. Like, something's wrong. Like, I don't understand. And I couldn't pinpoint, but they took my blood pressure, and immediately the doctor or the nurse was like, whoa, what is happening? Your blood pressure is like crazy low, like seriously low. Like, you need to lay down. Like, what is happening here? They took my blood pressure laying down, sitting up, standing up. They were like, man, that's low. Why is it so low? Well, I didn't say anything to the nurse. We were just like, just write it down. And then when the doctor came in, she was like, what is happening? And I'm like, I know what's happening. She's like, what? And I'm like, remember, you put me on some medication and we were concerned about its impact on my blood pressure, that they tried this medication for me before and the military, and they were like, no. Your blood pressure is perfect. This medication is dropping your blood pressure dangerously low. You can't take it. But the other medication that I used to take for some reason wasn't available. They couldn't pay for it. The military didn't cover it anymore, and it was going to be like $100 or something crazy. So we went with this other medication, and guess what? It had dropped my blood pressure over 40 points from what it normally is. Like, it was crazy. So she was basically like, how are you even functioning? How did you even get here? Right? Like, what is happening? And immediately it hit me. Now I know what's going on. Now I know what is happening. I know what is happening. I'm having difficult time because, see, here I take the medication between like 11 p.m. midnight. Like, I take sometimes midnight, 12:30 a.m., 1 a.m. I take it late because the whole concern was from the very beginning is this is going to lower your blood pressure. We all knew that, but take it right before you go to bed or while you're laying down so that you don't have any, possible dangers of fainting or anything like that. Well, it never dawned on me that when I first start trying to do things in the morning, that there could be lingering effects of that medication and that my blood pressure could still be dangerously low. Well, when you're walking up the steps and coming here and going like, all right, everyone, in my mind, this is what I'm thinking. All right, today's focus, we're going to talk about these 7 points from 1954, or we're going to talk about this. And there's inside my brain, right? I'm like all excited. I'm ready to go. Sometimes it'll be like, 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, and I'll just be laying there and my mind will be racing like, oh, I can't wait. I can't wait to get to the microphone. But in the morning, once I get up or once I'm no longer laying down and I start trying to get around, I start thinking, man, do I even want to do podcasting? Do I even want to do anything? And that is not me. Like, if you know, I'm always like, go. 6 in the morning, let's do this. 8 in the morning, let's 4 in the morning, let's midnight. Like, I'm always like, and something was like, I knew some, and I didn't draw the correlation between the two until today. So clearly I'm no longer taking, we're going to try to find look, put it this way. I'm not taking the medication no matter what, because I can't go through that again. I like, that is a horrible feeling, but it was having a profound negative impact on just everything. Like, I woke up, it was so weird. Like, I don't want to do that. I couldn't explain it. Like, how do you explain? Like, it's almost like I'm sitting there like, snap out of it. Like, I'm imagining slapping myself in the face. Come on, snap out of it. What are you doing? What is your problem? Stop complaining. Stop being so weak. Come on, man up. Do this. You get up there. Do those podcast episodes. Come on. Read your Bible, study, listen to some sermon. What is wrong with you? You don't want to do anything. Like, what, and so I start thinking, maybe I've entered in some weird world of dark depression. Like, what is happening to me? But mainly I was taking a medication that was dropping my blood pressure over 40 points. And every morning I was just like, I was lucky that I was standing up and not passing out. But I didn't realize. And sometimes that like mental fog or mental confusion, I was attributing it to, well, I have a seizure disorder. I have neurological issues because of everything that happened in the military. Anthrax, almost died. Okay, I'm not going through the long story. So I just attributed to that. Like, I'm going through a bad season with my but it wasn't. It was my blood pressure had dropped. They also discovered, and this is brand new, vitamin D and vitamin B12 deficiency, which would also contribute to some of that. I don't think it contributes too much because, again, by the afternoon, I was like, after kind of that medication was not, as having the negative impact, my blood pressure was coming back up. And once my blood pressure came back up, I felt kind of a return of that energy, and I was ready to go. So I'm not saying that that's going to mean that, don't think of it this way. Well, today's focus better be perfect. From this point on, I want today's focus episode that does something, because so far yours has been garbage. But I wanted to turn on the microphone for a couple of purposes. Number one, wanted to apologize for putting forth a subpar product because I mean, it's my responsibility. Like, it's up to me to realize, hey, these aren't really good, and then figure out what's wrong. And I don't know why I didn't draw the correlation. I didn't think about it. The only thing I thought about my low blood, I didn't even think about low blood pressure. Right? It's just, for some reason, I did not draw the correlation, and that's on me. That's my fault. But I should have known better. And I did know that the episodes, something wasn't right. I just knew that something wasn't right. But I attributed them to my neurological issues, which this is my approach to my neurological issues, is no matter how bad they are, right, I'm going to fight through them. Now, sometimes that means doing some bad podcast episodes, but that's for my own mental health, because I'm never going to allow my seizure disorder, my neurological issues, to ever dictate how I live my life. I'm not going to let that happen. So you may get bad podcast episodes, and I apologize for that, but I'm just going to keep working through it. I'm going to keep working through it. That's always been look, I've had a massive seizure in the hospital, get out of I have a massive seizure in the morning, be in the hospital, get released from the hospital, and go straight from the hospital to the pulpit and preach. You may say that's horrible, you should never do that. But no, I'm not allowing it to control me or dictate my life. It's almost like a point that I'm trying to make. So I've always kind of had that mentality. So that's probably why I kept doing it. But I should have. But you do have to realize, even if you're going to do that for your own mental health, when the product is, when I hate saying the word product, when the episode is not good, when your handling of something is not good, you do need to delete it from the internet, and you do need to issue an apology. So I do apologize for the poor quality of some of those. You may say, well, some of you are going to email me going, I couldn't tell a difference, which is then very depressing because that means, hey, you're garbage in the morning, you're garbage in the afternoon, and you're garbage at night, okay? You're just garbage, okay? I understand that, okay? But I do believe that there's levels of garbage, and I believe the garbage I was producing in the morning was far worse than the garbage I was producing in the afternoon. But I do apologize. It's on me, and I should have done better. I really should have. But so that's the first reason I wanted to turn on the microphone. But the second reason I wanted to turn on the microphone, and this is really what I want you to focus on. What do you think is the correlation, now listen to this, between your physical health and your spiritual life? Now, what many will do is they will connect spiritual life, your spiritual health, to your physical health, right? That if you're spiritual healthy, this is a massive part of being physically healthy. So they kind of go from spiritual health impacts physical health. That's what a lot of the articles on the internet will do. Your spiritual health will greatly determine your physical health or your physical well-being. That there's a holistic approach and the spiritual is an aspect of it. And I think that's how many articles approach it. And I'm not here to dismiss that, but I want to flip it. How does my physical health impact my spiritual? If I'm physically unhealthy, how can that have an impact on spiritual growth, spiritual life? In this particular case, it was having a profound impact on my ability to teach and in a adequate way. I was not even able to really read or even listening to things, reading, things were just not right. Something wasn't right. So I think sometimes we have to acknowledge physical has an impact on the spiritual. Now, I'm not saying, well, then go crazy and, join CrossFit today. I'm just saying that we can do basic things, right? We can do basic things. And one basic thing is to do, and I'm not here to offer medical advice, but I just think, that yearly, your wellness checks, whether 6 months or every year, depending on age, getting your labs drawn, seeing what's going on, just making sure you're good to go, just doing some basic stuff just to make sure. Because I think when you're not physically right, I think I think it's going to impact you wanting to study, impact you wanting to read. I think it's just going to impact you wanting to go to church, impact a lot of things. So I think we do need to look at that. But what do you feel? Some like to emphasize your spiritual life impacts your physical, but I think your physical impacts your spiritual in a certain way. What do you think the correlation is? And what do you think is a reasonable approach to that? What do you think a reasonable approach is to that? Right? So number one, I wanted to apologize. But number two, I wanted to get you really thinking. So the apology is just not for you to focus on. But the second one is for you to focus on, that correlation between the two. Because, we have one body. We just have one body. And everything, our spiritual growth, everything's happening in this body, right? You can't just separate it. It's all together, right? Mental health, right? Emotional health, physical health, spiritual health. There's a correlation between all of those, right? There's a correlation because it's all happening within one physical body. And this physical body has a profound impact on everything that's going on. We could talk about physical health and as a result, and its connection with mental health, physical health and its relation to emotional health, physical health and its relation to spiritual health. Right? I think there's at least for me, my morning from around, say 7 a.m. till about noon was just a mess. It was just an absolute disaster. Something wasn't right. And I could not pinpoint. And now because your blood pressure was dropping about 50 points. Okay, that's what was happening. Okay, you shouldn't even be standing up, much less sitting in front of a microphone trying to deal with theological issues. So it's embarrassing that I didn't catch it because, again, I was in my mind, oh, no. My neurological issues, my seizure issues will not deter me. My seizure issues will not stop me. But, I mean, sometimes they do. But so that's what's happening. So we're going to get rid of that medication. Hopefully we can find an alternative. I would rather just go. I'm really big that if the medication has a worse side effect than what it's supposed to fix, I'll just deal with what it wasn't supposed to fix. Like, I'll just deal with that. And then it's just weird, the vitamin D, B12. I've never had any, like other than my seizures, my health has always been perfect. Perfect blood pressure, perfect cholesterol, perfect everything. Like, all my labs are like boom, 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 boom. Great. And then all of a sudden, everything. Weight, everything, just, and then all of a sudden, what just happened? Well, we know the blood pressure. We know the reason for the blood pressure. Now, why the vitamin deficiencies? There's no specific reason, but we're going to get that fixed. But there you go. So today's focus. I know it's in the afternoon. I know. I apologize, but I want you to just consider your physical health, how it impacts the spiritual. Now, you could argue, well, so are you saying put the focus on the physical over the spiritual? No, I think we have to just realize that we have a body and everything spiritual is inside of us, and it's always being impacted by all of these other things. Like, sometimes I think could you argue that sometimes we don't approach things from a holistic approach and we isolate, separate when we have to kind of see their correlation and their connection, right? To some level, we have to see that. Just a thought. You can give me your thoughts on all of this. newsif@yahoo.com. newsif@yahoo.com. That's newsif@yahoo.com. I wanted to get today's focus out there. And we'll take a break, and then we'll be back. We have to finish our review on this crazy podcast episode on Romans chapter 7, and we'll do that here shortly, all right? But thank you for listening. Again, email me, newsif@yahoo.com. That has been your today's focus for Thursday, January the 26th, 2023.